Fiddling around with my Boss RC500. Just got it. Pretty new thing. It's new to everybody, or fairly new to everybody. It's got three inputs, like a left and right, one instrument input, a mic input, has MIDI I/O, but it's MIDI to TRS, and it is proprietary. Tried another MIDI to TRS cable, doesn't work. Probably have to get the Boss one. That stinks. Comes with no power supply, can work with batteries. The batteries last 2.5 hours maybe, so that's good if you're going to do a gig, but if you're playing with it at home, just don't even use the batteries. Get a power supply. Use the batteries for live gigs. It's got 3 buttons on top. I've got a Boss FS5U that I hooked up to the... It's got 2 control pedals you can hook up, or an expression pedal. And it also doesn't play well with other pedals, so I have to use the Boss one. Very limited if you only use it without any extra stuff in it. You can reprogram these 3 switches, which is, you can get some more use out of it, but it's got so many features that if you don't use an external foot switch, and only one is pretty limited too, you're just limiting what you can do with it. It's got 99 presets. They say you can record something like 13 hours of audio doing that. The only audio effect, or what I'd call, like chorus audio, is reverb, that type of thing, is on the drums. It's got effects for the loops like reverse and stutter and slow down and blah blah blah. I noticed it through the MIDI. It will sync. I used actually GarageBand on an iPhone. I think I used it on an iPad and was able to get it to play in sync with a song on the GarageBand thing, using the USB with no computer. And I used an adapter to the iPhone, so that was actually pretty cool. And you could change the tempo on the iPhone, and it would actually speed up. There's a couple things I noticed that I wish would work, but aren't so far. It's got lots of MIDI control which you can set, and it looks like it'll respond to program change from a MIDI controller. But what most of the MIDI functioning that you can program into this is through either note assignment or continuous controller assignment. It doesn't seem to be able to reprogram program change messages to trigger other functions instead of program change messages. And some MIDI controllers are just program change types of things, so, or start stop, program change. So that kind of messes up a lot of them being that functional, if ones that people already have. So I'd like to see them do that with a new firmware if they can. If there's a lot of complexity in, it's got 2 loop tracks. So if you're in a preset, you can have 2 loop tracks. You can have them play in parallel, which they play at the same time, which you can mute them or unmute them and that kind of thing. Or you can get them to play in serial, where one plays, the next plays, that kind of thing like that. I've had a lot of trouble with getting that to work the way I want it. It's got input. It's got internal drum patterns, which are not that complicated, but you can do some pretty good stuff with it, because you can change variations with a foot switch, and you can actually cancel some of the whatever the drums is, because they usually seem to have 4 components in a drum. So if it's a rock drum, it's snare, kick, hi-hat, cymbal, something like that, or tom, one of those things. But it's 4 in each one of those 4 options, and you can mute some of them. And I found that useful, because a lot of times these beats will have something in there that's just in an odd place, like a cymbal, and you don't want it in there, and you can get it out of there. It actually comes in handy to kind of simplify things. But you can also do kind of a verse-chorus thing, where you go in with a fill, or a variation, they call it, where it's more full, like with cymbals and so forth, as a lot of things do for choruses or bridges. So that's actually pretty useful. What else do we got here? Yeah. Yeah, I think I said it had 99 presets. It's supposed to be able to record up to 13 hours. 99 presets is, I guess it's plenty. You could back it up. The software they have is antiquated. It just seems to be just loops back up and loops back in. And now I had a Digitech Jammin Stereo XT, which was only 149 bucks. It's kind of cheaply made, but it had some features that some good features. And one of the features it had, and it's no bragging point, I didn't like the way their software worked, but their software worked certainly better than this. You could import into your computer the patches, and you could normalize them. You could change some of the parameters of the patches, and then shoot them back in. So it actually had some advantages there. I don't know if Boss will update their software. Like I said, the software they have for this just seems to be backup and restore, and maybe, you know, put in new loops, that kind of thing. So that's kind of a general rundown. You can see here, I don't know if you really can, track select, that's where you go between tracks 1 and 2, stop, record, play. That does the same thing generally, where I think if this is set by default where you hold down the stop, if it's already stopped, it will clear it. But I believe it works also where if it's playing and you've done an overdub, you hold this down for 2 seconds and it clears the overdub. But I believe it will clear the whole patch if you hold this down as well for 2 seconds. I have to work that out. Yeah, okay. What else is there to do? Yeah, so I've been goofing around with it, and one thing I do notice in comparison it to the Digitech I had was that the audio is clearer overall. It with the Digitech, if you got to a second overdub, third track, not track, but third part on the same track, you know, original, overdub. By the third one, you'd be having whatever you call it, audio blips and anomalies and distortions that were, you know, not very kind. You had to be very careful with the levels. You could get past it, but you had to be very careful. This works better for multiple overdubs. It's clearer for multiple overdubs, so that's an advantage to this unit. What else do we have? Oh, you know, one thing, my big complaint is it comes with these 4 little rubber feet. You have to stick them on yourself. I can't see any reason not to have attached rubber feet to this. I guess this is better if you need to replace them yourself. You know, if you could have them that are screwed on or something. The problem is, it's like, you know, kind of rocky without them. It's unusable really without them. It needs to be stabilized because even though it's pretty sturdy, it's not heavy. And I put 4 of them on, and immediately one of them started to slip off and just would never stay on. The other 3 are just fine, but now it's gone. I don't even know where it went to. It kept slipping off so many times, and you know, so I'd rather see them already attached on. You're not going to rack mount it. I don't see any situation where you don't need those feet on this thing. So you ought to have them just custom set on there. Also, it doesn't come with a power supply. Like I may have said, that the batteries will run for 2.5 hours. It's good for a gig, but if you're going to be having it on and using it in your home, you need the power supply. They claim you need the Yamaha one, the Boss one, but you can use another 9-volt one. It's supposed to be 500 milliamps or more. So the MIDI input and output is proprietary. I tried another TRS MIDI put. It goes to TRS if I hadn't said that. I tried another one. Didn't work. So I don't have a new one. I'm just using this external pedal. I've got this to do stop all. Let me see if I can demonstrate this. Okay, so let's see. Should stop all. Now this thing it's actually got 2 tracks on it. Here's a limitation I found. Let's say I often use different patches and then go through them. I'll have verse, chorus, whatever. So I've got 2 things. This is introduction part to the Zombies Time of the Season. Okay, so now then it has the verse part. You can hear I use the voice. It's almost a percussion thing in the background. Now watch this though. This is the problem. When I go from, I think I have kind of figured it out, but it didn't work consistently. There's a way to get around this. It just didn't work consistently for me. I don't know if that's a glitch in the software. But so let's say I put that intro going. it down. So then change the. It's not playing both tracks. So it just, you can't get it. When I use that external pedal, it does it. So it doesn't play them all if that's what you want. If you're just using them as whole parts in your system there. But I did another thing that is an issue with this that I'll show you about that you might run into. If you have something on a patch saved already, and you edit something on, like say you've got a template sort of thing and you want to edit it and then save it somewhere else, but you've already saved something onto that track, so you want to save a different patch onto that track. It won't allow you to. You can't just overwrite. You have to erase it. There's write and store buttons here. Write, exit, write, enter, exit, and you use this for the final store thing. But you have to go in here to write. I'll show you. Let me see if I can. You're not going to be able to see this, but oh, come on. Why is it not doing? Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, you go double, and then you hit clear, and then you hit this button for clear, but you can't just overwrite it, which makes it an extra step for you. But what I did was I made some little patterns. This is a basic 4/4. Oh no! But one thing is, if the pedal doesn't work unless you've got audio in the loop tracks. But you can start it here. So this is a basic 4/4. See, this doesn't work for it unless I've got audio in there. It doesn't stop the thing or play. Okay. All right. Thing. It's not really like it's playing the whole thing. It's just got that drum track that it complies with the all stop, but it doesn't. This is like more of a 2/4 Fire, by Hendrix or something like that. So country swing, I call this one. So it won't stop that way. Just have to do this. This is a waltz. This is a goofy thing that I found out on here, and I find this a lot. It's really strange. Some of these drum things in here, like waltz is 3/4 timing. So I set this. You can change the timings, in here for your beats and so forth. And a waltz is 3/4 timing. What a lot of these do, and the Digitech didn't work very well for it either. They put the accent on the one, boom, boom, boom. But a lot of waltzes have like a double accent on the 2 and 3, boom, 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 boom. So it doesn't. There's no way to really work it. I instead of 3/4, I set it at 6/8, and I eliminated one of the. It can fit in there. I don't know how to explain it, but it works better than it. But I can't get it to. Boom, 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 boom. Beatles do it. Don't wear it tonight. Beatles did this a lot. I think that's actually in 6/8 timing, but it's got that accent that's really on the 2 and 3. So, Let's see, what else did I do here? I got some other things that I did to kind of demonstrate what I got going here. Oopsie daisy. What did I
have that. I'm missing. I'm not sure where I had this.
Yeah, here's the one with the. I used a variation in this one. So let's say, don't wear red tonight, for red is the color that my baby wore, and what's more is true. Yes, it is. I could be happy with you by my side. You get the idea. And it does a little fill when it stops. That's useful to me.
That's useful. That's useful. I don't know what else did I have that on another one.
I had it on something else. I don't know what.
I can't remember. I had it set on a few others, but it doesn't seem to be working.
I must not have stored it on these other ones
Because it's memory based. It's there's a thing that goes on this, and you have settings that are global,
and you can actually set the globals. You can undo global settings, make it so that they're not global. But what you can
globally set is these three buttons and the external foot switch and expression pedal. You can set them globally to
operate certain functions. You could change what they function out of the box, but globally. But these settings for this assignment to the drum thing is a per memory setting, so you have to store it to the memory for it to work. So I obviously didn't store that everywhere that I needed to. So
let me go and see what else I made here.
For the big song, Beatles. I'm a Beatles song. I'm a loser. I'm a loser, and I've lost someone who's near to me. Works pretty good. Yeah. So.
Right, but
those don't. They're not seen as like a. You're not. Even though I stored it in there, it's. You see how it's blue here. It doesn't have any audio tracks in there stored in there. But I had. Here's one where I used. I've got it set to do Stones. A Jensen Ballroom Wayne. Stop that and just go to the verse, intro, verse, chorus is what I've done. I've used the drums with it too. So just give me a little example of using it in that fashion. Some people do this way, and others don't. But the drum settings in there, they're usable. They're rudimentary, but they're usable. I like their sound. They're okay. Trying to figure out what else I've discovered on this thing that well, I did discover that I don't know if I'll be able to drop this in. I discovered that it shows in the audio MIDI setup of a Mac computer and that you're not going to be able to see this, I don't think, but I might be able to drop this in there. Let me try this out. So the idea is that it shows the Boss RC500 in the audio MIDI setup of the Mac with the USB connected, but you can't get anything to connect it. In other words, I should be able to plug like a foot controller into a MIDI interface, which I do have, and then reroute it to the Boss. But even though it shows in here, it won't allow me to do it. So I haven't gotten that functionality working, but it was something that I found that works. Now I think I mentioned before, but I don't recall if I did or not, that I was able to use an iPad, bring up GarageBand and trigger this, and have it play in tempo and change tempo, even of the audio from GarageBand and iPad. It recognized stop, start, tempo. And I think it will probably recognize program change, but I don't think I didn't have a way that I could see from GarageBand to make program changes from there. But I'm trying to see if that's going to work further, if there's something I'm missing, or it's going to be part of an update that will come for the Boss RC500. So that's what I got so far. For anybody who wants to know, I'm sure if you're watching all these other videos, I try to give you information that I've learned that's kind of unique to it. You can route the microphone and the two inputs to different places. They don't all route every option, but enough to, I don't know why it is. So one of them goes like, you've got instrument input, like another input, or left and right input and microphone input. And one of them goes where you can do either A output, B output for when it comes out, A and B, either or. But one or two of them have where you can do like A and B or A, but not B. And then another one has A and B or B, but not A. It's enough options to work it out. They're probably just trying to save memory there and get that to work. Get as much as they can in it. And yeah. What else would I want to say about this at this point in time? Okay, I think that's about it. You can, I don't know if you can see that. That's control for the mic input. Oh, you can actually set these as controlling other things, and a few of these buttons, I think those are per patch or per memory location settings. They're not global, but it's kind of cool. I'm not sure how I kind of like having that volume there. Oh, one thing I think that they should have here is one would be, you can't, I think I said this before, but you can't do certain functions with using just program change. It'll do program change for an external MIDI, but you can't patch those in the assignments as you can do other functions like continuous controllers. But another thing that happens because I do this where I have like one patch, another patch, and go in between. Sometimes a combination of things I put together will have a lower volume. They won't match. So what I would like to see, and this is what I used to do with Digitech from their software, was this have a normalized function per track inside of the system itself. But I'm still working on using it. We're going to see how it goes, and bon appetit.